I thought I would talk tonight a little bit about friendship. And this is inspired by a telephone call with a friend of mine. And this friend of mine, Ingrid, has been a friend now for 27 years. 27 years. She was my best college professor. And we were just talking today, actually, remembering specific details of the beginning of our friendship, which actually had to do with a really painful, awful situation she had with another professor at the university, of actually being physically attacked by somebody who was mentally unwell, and which actually then got her fired for complaining about it. Classic situation. Really awful, classic situation. And our friendship was developed out of this really painful situation, which actually I agreed to help her with, in the little ways that I could. I was in my early 20s. I wonder if you can hear the radiators hissing in the background. I have hissing radiators. It's kind of nice sound. But I agreed to help her a little bit with her legal case against the university. And the results of which was not great, and she really didn't get much of a settlement. And the problematic professor was allowed to continue, and actually then he eventually died of a drug overdose. But to me, what is interesting in terms of the idea of mindful communication, looking back at this friendship of so many years, is to actually consider how many times in that situation and the outfall of that situation that really went on for years and years, the effects were extremely severe in her life. Extremely severe. I can't even go into all the chapters. But was that there was so often that I couldn't do anything to alleviate the pain. I couldn't do anything to alleviate the pain. And actually she fell recently and broke a hip. She's now, in her late 70s. And she was telling me how much her hip was hurting her now. And there was nothing I could do to alleviate that. And I just said to her, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that you're facing that pain. And because we had just talked about details from, decades before, I just remembered how many times that was the case. That I couldn't alleviate these really, really painful, challenging situations that she was put into. But I could be there with her. We were talking about the strength of our friendship all these years. We have a very strong friendship. It's very stable. And it was really built out of a lot of not very fun situations. But the fact that we could be there with each other was actually the biggest part of our friendship. That friendship doesn't have to be built out of having the right advice to get somebody out of a difficult situation. Friendship, deep friendship, can be built out of the trust that is born because you're willing to be there with somebody. Just be there with somebody and hurt for them. Our hearts are built to hurt for those that we love. That's not a problem. That is not a problem. What do they say now? What's the lingo now? That's not a bug, it's a feature. This is like software lingo. Your heart is built to do that. And it's very good. Trust is built that way. Support is built that way. We can't always solve all the things in the world, but we can be there with each other and hurt for each other, and that's an expression of love. That's my message for today. Let's see what we can do to hurt for and love people in challenging situations. I think you might be able to think up a few of those right now.